Ah, look at those perfectly strategically placed islands in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Wouldn't they be a valuable place to dock our naval fleet as we trade and expand our presence into Asia? Was, to some degree, exactly what the US government was thinking in the 1890s. They wanted to own the archipelago of the Hawaiian Islands. So that's exactly what they did. The United States annexed the region in 1898. The annexation resulted in mixed feelings among the local people. Some saw it as a way to boost economic growth and improve their living standards, whilst others felt as if it would undermine their sovereignty and the traditional Hawaiian way of life. But the people who opposed it had no say whatsoever against the might of the US. What exactly would Hawaii do against such an almighty power? The US at the time had a population of around 75 million, whereas Hawaii just 150,000. 61 years after the annexation, the territory officially became a US state, cementing itself as the 50th. This transition occurred after the results of a referendum by the people of Hawaii. But do you have any idea what percentage of voters voted in favour of becoming a US state? Maybe close to 50-50, maybe even 60-40? Well, no. The results were overwhelmingly in favour of becoming a US state, with some 93% of voters voting in favour. But why was this the case? Why did so many of the local population want to effectively lose their identity and become part of the US? Well, as a US territory, Hawaii had limited political representation and lacked voting rights in Congress. Becoming a state offered full representation, which in turn would give them a greater voice in decisions affecting the islands. There were also many economic and quality of life improvements that would come with transitioning to a state, such as increased funding for infrastructure, education, and social services. Post-World War II, there was also a real sense of national unity. Hawaii was effectively already part of the US and contributed greatly, so becoming a state really sealed the unity between the two. Today, Hawaii has a population of around 1.4 million, ranking it as around the 10th least populated US state. It is known for its high living standards, amazing climate, and incredible geography, which we'll investigate in today's video. So, as mentioned earlier, Hawaii is found within the Pacific Ocean, around 3,800 kilometers west of the US's mainland. The entire archipelago is actually found further south than the entirety of the contiguous US. Alongside Alaska, Hawaii is one of only two non-contiguous US states, meaning states that are not physically connected to the mainland. However, Alaska and Hawaii couldn't be any more different. Hawaii is of course a small-ish tropical archipelago, whereas Alaska is a gigantic landmass with Arctic-like conditions. What's kind of interesting, which most people probably don't know, is that Alaska has many islands, far more than what is found in Hawaii. In total, there are just 137 islands across the Hawaiian archipelago, whereas Alaska has some 2,670, around 20 times more. So these 137 islands combined cover an area of around 28,300 kilometers squared, making it the 8th smallest state out of the 50. If Hawaii were its own independent country, it would rank as the 141st largest, larger than Equatorial Guinea but smaller than Albania. Out of all of its islands, its largest is Hawaii Island, or Big Island as it's known as today. The island isn't just the largest, but the youngest too. The island is around 10,400 kilometers squared, so it makes up just over a third of the state's entire size. Although the largest, it is not the most populated, as with a population of some 200,000, it has only around a fifth of the population of Oahu Island, which is where you'll find the capital, Honolulu. So let's take a further look into where exactly Hawaii is found and how close it is to other landmasses and civilizations. So with the mainland US being some 3,800 kilometers away, it is obviously not the closest country to the archipelago. The closest country is in fact Kiribati, which is still found pretty far away. You're looking at about 1,700 kilometers, pretty much directly south. If you were to travel in the opposite direction, you'd end up in Alaska, the Aleutian Islands specifically, which are about 3,700 kilometers directly north of Hawaii. Traveling directly east would take you to Mexico and west to the Philippines. Sitting in this part of the Pacific Ocean means that Hawaii is part of the Polynesia sub-region. Quite frankly, one of the most beautiful regions our planet has to offer. Now, one of the things that fascinates me about Hawaii is its extreme geographical diversity. Correct me if you think I'm wrong here, but in terms of geographical features, I don't think you can get more diverse than Hawaii in terms of small islands anyway. Maybe New Zealand or New Guinea could compete, but it's hard to disagree with the fact that Hawaii is unbelievably geographically varied. The archipelago offers dozens of terrains, landscapes, and geographical features, ranging from rainforests to volcanoes to coral reefs to waterfalls, beaches, and even desert. Yes, you heard that right, Hawaii technically has a desert. The Kau Desert is found on Hawaii's Big Island. It is known as a leeward desert. Although only covering an area of around 28,000 kilometers squared, Hawaii is kind of home to the world's tallest mountain. Now, I'm sure we've all heard this one before. It's one of those geography facts that is often thrown around to try and catch people out. By sea level measurements, of course, Mount Everest is the tallest mountain on Earth, standing some 8,849 meters above sea level. But when you measure the height of all mountains from base to tip, then Mauna Kea on Hawaii's Big Island is the tallest. The mountain is actually an inactive volcano, which is 4,207 meters above sea level. But when you include its base, which goes all the way down to the sea floor, then it stands over 10,000 meters tall. But how does this compare to our solar system's tallest mountain? That's Olympus Mons, found on Mars. Well, at 22,000 meters, Mount Kea, as impressive as it is only 46% of the height of Olympus Mons. In fact, Olympus Mons is taller than Mount Kea and Everest combined, plus 3 Burj Khalifas. So Hawaii isn't just home to the US's tallest mountain by this measure, but also the country's tallest waterfall. So at around a 900 meter total drop, Oloupina Falls on the island of Molokai is the world's 4th tallest waterfall. For reference, the tallest by this measure is Angel Falls in Venezuela, which falls around 79 meters more. So that's pretty impressive that a state so small can hold 2 records like this. Well, it gets even more impressive as the country's largest active volcano, and in fact the largest active above water volcano on Earth, is also found in Hawaii. So Mauna Loa by mass and volume is the largest of its kind on Earth. It's a shield volcano, meaning it has relatively gentle slopes. The volcano isn't just the largest, but also known to be the most active large volcano on the planet, with estimates suggesting that it's been active for some 700,000 years. So I'm sure we've all heard of the Grand Canyon in Arizona, but have you heard of the Waimea Canyon in Hawaii? This canyon, understandably, is often referred to as the Grand Canyon of the Pacific. It is some 16 kilometers long and over 900 meters deep in some places, which produce incredible views like this. Another record that Hawaii sets, although not the most favorable of records, is that it is the wettest state in the US. The island of Kauai in the north is said to be the wettest of the bunch, seeing some 450 inches of rainfall per year. That's around 10 times more than what New York City sees. This abundance of rainfall comes to no surprise as the archipelago sits within the tropics. The biggest benefit of seeing so much rain is that the islands are generally very green and lush in flora. Now, sticking with the theme of the region's climate, let's take a look at how it looks in terms of the Köppen climate classification. Now, most people would probably assume that the entire region would be classed as tropical or some form of variation close to that. However, the region actually sees many different types of climates, around 12 in total. So you've got rainforest climate, monsoon, desert and arid, as we spoke about earlier, and then you've even got climates like subpolar oceanic and even polar tundra at the very peaks of its tallest mountains. Temperatures in the lowlands have consistent temperatures throughout the year. Honolulu's monthly temperature, for example, barely changes, which helps to make it such a nice livable place. Speaking of livable places, let's take a look at where Hawaii ranks in the Human Development Index for all US states. So the state ranks in a very impressive equal 7th place with a HDI score of 0.940, which is classed as very high. If Hawaii were its own independent country, it would rank 15th, the same as the UK and ever so slightly higher than New Zealand at the time of making this video. Now, due to its position not far from the equator, as just mentioned, its temperature variation is very low. In fact, the highest temperature ever recorded in the state was just 38.7 degrees Celsius. Of course, that is still very hot. However, this is the same as the highest ever recorded temperature in the Arctic. And in 2022, London in the UK saw temperatures some 2 degrees Celsius higher. So I'm sure we all know about Hawaii's incredible white sand beaches. But did you know that the state also has black, red and even green sand beaches? Well, the unique sand colours come from the island's volcanic origins. Red sand beaches are created by iron-rich volcanic minerals. Green sand beaches get their colour from olivine crystals within the lava, and black sand beaches are formed from basalt, a type of lava rock that's shattered into small grains. So of course we know that Hawaii is a very tropical volcanic island chain that spews out piping hot lava. But what if I was to tell you that there are actually ice caves on this island? And what's even crazier is that they are found within volcanoes. These caves are formed in lava tubes, when lava cools quickly and leaves behind empty spaces. If water seeps into these spaces and the conditions are cold enough, the water can freeze and create ice inside the caves. So speaking of lava tubes, guess where you'll find the world's largest? That's right, in Hawaii. This lava tube, known as Kazumura Cave, is found on Big Island and has been measured at some 65 kilometers long and 1,100 meters deep, making it the longest and deepest lava tube on Earth. So I think you get the gist. Hawaii is an incredibly impressive place geographically. It's somewhere I hope to visit one day. It's just a shame that it's so far away from the UK. From London, you're looking at over 31 hours of travel time, or 18 hours, but that will set you back over £2,300 for a single. Like and subscribe for more content like this, and as always, thank you very much for watching.